What if what you ate today is making you sick? What if what you eat on a daily basis is contributing to your health issues? What if there is poison in your refrigerator or your pantry right now? One night out a week and you pick this talk to come to. On August 1st, 2004, I woke up almost completely blind. When an optimist wakes up blind, they don't really realize how serious it is. I thought I just needed glasses. I made an appointment at the optometrist in town and went to pick up my glasses, and as soon as he examined me, he of course realized that something very serious was going on. Come to find out later that he thought that I had a brain tumor. He sent me to a specialist who sent me to another specialist who sent me to another specialist. I spent the next 6 months at probably about 60 or 70 doctors. Finally, a fantastic neuro-ophthalmologist in Homedale, New Jersey, sent me to a rare disease specialist in Manhattan. And I spent about 5 hours in his office. He was examining me and talking to me and checking my eyes and my brain and my optic nerves. And he sat me down and he said, well, very bluntly, he said, I think I know what you have, but if it's what I think it is, you'll be blind forever. Of course, we have to do the DNA test. I tuned him out at that point. You know, Charlie Brown's teacher, I just tuned him out completely. 3 weeks later, the DNA results were sent to me. And he called me on the phone. And he said, very politely, but just very bluntly, and he said, I'm really sorry, but the DNA results came back positive. You have Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy. You will never see again because there is no treatment or cure. And I said, I want a second opinion. And he said, on DNA test? He said, you never know. When you're blind, you grasp. He suggested I go to Wills Eye Institute, and they're a fantastic hospital in Philadelphia. I did go to Wills Eye Institute, and of course they confirmed that I had Leber's. They diagnosed me as what's called 1 foot blurry. So from my face to a foot away, I could see shadows, just blurry shadows, and from a foot away, it was totally black. So the fantastic doctors there said that I had to immediately get into a blind hospital and learn how to live as a blind person. They wanted me to start walking with a cane. The Blind Foundation showed up at my house within a week and wanted me to apply for disability. I said no to everything. You see, when I got the diagnosis in the mail, the people who read me the diagnosis, I remember the very last paragraph said, this patient has the most severe type of Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy, but 2% of people diagnosed with this disease spontaneously recover their sight. And I was going to be in that 2%, you see, because healing starts with belief. So I ignored everything. I spent 1.5 years focusing on my health. I ate bitter food, I ate sour food, I'll get to that a little bit later. I focused on meditation, I focused on positivity. Within 1.5 years, I regained the majority of my eyesight. And when I went back to the doctors, they said, what did you do? And they had no idea. They could tell that the optic nerve that was torn 1.5 years before that had regenerated. And so they said, just keep doing whatever you're doing. That time was so extraordinary and so depressing and so sad and so amazing. You know, the worst part of that time was not that I lit my hair on fire because I got too close to a candle. Not that I had bumps and bruises all over my face because I was bumping into walls. I couldn't see my children's faces. For 2 years, I could not see my children's faces. But despite that, and I'm so grateful that I can see my children's faces again, but despite that, you know, the only thing that I can't do now, and I regained most of my sight, but the only thing I can't do is drive. It's the only thing I can't do these days. And for those of you who used to drive with me, you might consider that a favor to the rest of the world. You're welcome. But the most amazing thing about my blindness and spending 2 years of my life blind was that it was such an amazing gift. It gave me my purpose. It was such a blessing. It enabled me to build a health company, and we work with hospitals and Fortune 500 companies to bring nutrition to them, to bring wellness to them. And so every single day for the last 10 years, I get to talk about food and I get to talk about healing. And all of those people have one thing in common. Food matters. Food has contributed somehow to their illness. We have a grave burden on our health. And that grave burden is called chemicals. Now, I don't have the time here to talk about the long list of chemicals that exist in our food today in this country, but I've picked 5 doozies. My first one is BHT and BHA. And the reason I picked it first, and because it's my favorite, is because I have a personal history with it. In 1989, I was pregnant with my first son. I was 5, don't do the math. While I was pregnant was when I started to do research, because I wanted to make sure that my baby was going to get the very best food. And so I was determined that I was going to feed myself right, feed my baby right, and do the best I possibly could as far as nutrition. So I started to do research, and I started to read about these chemicals that we have in this country and that don't exist anywhere in the world. Not only they don't exist, but they are illegal. There was a chemical, the first chemical I read about is called BHA and BHT. It is illegal in England, and it's been illegal before 1989, and it's illegal in over 100 countries, except for the US. And do you know why it's illegal? It's illegal because it is linked to birth defects. And so when I was reading and studying all this about food, I thought, I'm pretty healthy. I'm sure I don't consume this. I walked into my kitchen and opened up my cabinet doors and pulled out bags of nuts. Because, see, I believe in nuts. Nuts are anti-aging. Nuts are amazing for your health. Eat your nuts. Pulled out nuts, turned the bag over, and my walnuts said, ingredients, walnuts, BHT. I got ticked. And then I pulled out tons of other products, and I found BHT in my products. The next doozy is something called ractopamine. Anybody heard of ractopamine? Ractopamine is in most of the meat in this country. In February 2014, Russia put a ban on our meat. It is in most of the supermarkets in this country. Except ractopamine is illegal in over 100 countries, and we use it to make animals leaner faster. Why is it illegal in most countries? Because it's linked to cancer. I should pause here for a second and let you guys know that I really do have friends. They just don't invite me over for dinner parties. Can you imagine the poor waiter who walks up to me with pigs in a blanket on the tray? Is pigs in a blanket still? See, I don't go to dinner parties. Is pigs in a blanket still a thing? You probably think I'm going to bash the hot dogs. No, not so fast. Let me get to white flour. Potassium bromate. In China several years ago, tons of chips were yanked off of supermarkets in China because they contain potassium bromate. Potassium bromate has been linked to cancer, illegal in over 100 countries, except we put it in most of our baked products. Most of your bread has potassium bromate. It is unequivocally linked to cancer. Japan did a study, which is why China yanked it off the shelves. Where were the products from in China? US. The next chemical of choice is a chemical called BVO. You might have heard of BVO because there have been plenty of petitions signed. Now, granted, plenty of companies have taken BVO out of the sports drinks, but brominated vegetable oil is in so many sports drinks. Children drink sports drinks. It's been linked to cancer, and worse, it has been linked to hindering children's growth. The next lovely chemical, which might be my favorite, besides BHT, artificial sweeteners. I can't tell you how many people we work with on a daily basis. The second we take them off artificial sweeteners, their symptoms go away. Dizziness, headaches, shakes. I personally have seen tons of people diagnosed with MS, and it's not MS, it's toxic levels of artificial sweeteners. So what is the answer? What is the answer to all this food? What is the answer? How do we eat right? Well, the BS theory of health. Now, why do I call it the BS theory of health? Because it's all BS. There's such BS out there. How do you know? You hear about the paleo diet and the vegan diet and vegetarian and low carb and low fat and sports drinks, too much protein, not enough protein. Aren't you all confused? So you know what? Let's call it the BS theory to health. Why? Because I'm ticked off, but also because it works. The acronym works, and I'm going to show you how. B-U-L-L-S-H-I-T. B is for bitter food. I told you I ate a lot of bitter food. Bitter is better. The dandelions that we squash and that we use weed killer to get rid of, the dandelions are amazing. I grew up eating dandelions once or twice a week, but when I was blind, I ate them morning, breakfast, lunch, dinner. I put them in my drinks. I put them in my juices. I noshed on them all day long. Dandelions are amazing. Bitter is better. U is for unlock your spice cabinet. We're using things, you know, one of the worst things out there, we're using things like barbecue flavoring and marinade and spice, beef flavor, chicken flavor. Unlock your spice cabinet. All the spices that are in the back, get rid of the ones in the front that say all sorts of flavorings and bring out cumin and turmeric and cayenne pepper and paprika. Hippocrates said, medicine is food and food is thy medicine. Use your spices, they're medicinal. L. L is for lower your sugar. I'm not going to spend too much time there. You've all heard it. And I'm not telling you to do anything 100%. I'm big on talking about the 80-20 rule. So you know what? If you're going to eat junk, 80% of the time, just eat clean. And the 20%, you know what? The 80% medicine is going to combat the 20%. The second L is for lower your animal protein. Or for goodness sake, eat grass-fed beef or organic meat because of the ractopamine. S is for sour food. What is sour food? Sauerkraut. Sauerkraut and kimchi. Amazing. Greatest health foods, anti-aging. If your gut health is great, if your digestion is great, you're going to feel awesome. A little bit of sauerkraut 3 times a week before your dinner will do amazing things for your digestion. H. Now, for some of you who know me, know that I'm an optimist. I don't use the word hate, but I hate artificial sweeteners, and I ask that you hate them as much as I do. I is for increase. So I've told you some of the things that you have to get rid of. Let me tell you what you can increase so that you can live a long, healthy, energetic life. You ready? Fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, healthy fats, and nuts and seeds. 80% of your day, if you spend it eating those things, you're going to feel awesome. And T is for take control. Take your power back. We have given up our power. We've given up our power to the food manufacturers and the government. Don't trust what's on websites. Read ingredients and find out. Take control back. Gandhi said that the greatest wealth is health, not gold or silver pieces. And I could not agree more. You know, what I do on a daily basis really does get hard sometimes. People don't want to hear about what's wrong with their food. Nobody wants to hear about what they ate wrong or what they have to give up. But I didn't go blind and get a second chance so that I could stay silent. I went blind and got a second chance so that I could inspire and teach and motivate other people how to live an authentic, healthy life. And I ask that you spread that message with me. Thank you.